Like, what do I do with my hands?
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
What is that from? Is that from The Office?
It's from Talladega Nights.
Is it? Oh, okay.
It's when he wins the race and he's getting interviewed and he goes, I don't know what to do with my hands.
And then they're like, put it down. He's like, but
yeah,
got it. Okay.
Yeah. Ricky Bobby.
The reason I probably thought it was from The Office is because it's shot in a similar like mockumentary style. So it's probably why.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you don't like The Office. Exposed.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't seek it out. You know? Like if someone else has it on, I'm not going to be like, turn it off, change the channel.
Michael Scott is my spirit animal though. And I think he's everybody's though.
The problem I have with The Office is more with fans of The Office than I do with the show itself.
That's understandable.
Because people who like The Office really want you to know that they like The Office. And it's...
Some do.
It's bad.
Just like, but I mean, that's like with any extreme fandom though. Because like extreme Disney people are weird.
Okay.
Like
you and I are both really big fans of several different things that you could consider nerdy, dorky, whatever, which is fine. But we also do not make that our whole personality, excluding Taylor Swift.
I was going to say excluding Taylor Swift.
Everyone has to know. But it's also like not in my Instagram bio. I don't post about it all the time. I'm just like privately and in my private life and then on the podcast, I'm a huge Swiftie. But like it's not out there like that.
I don't know. I think everybody knows I love Taylor Swift. Yes, I don't post about it every single day though. But I definitely
think about it 24/7.
I think about her all the time. I think about her music. I love her. I want to be her friend. I am her friend. She's my friend. I mean, if you're a Swiftie, then she's your friend.
Yeah.
That's the whole vibe.
We're BFFs.
Yeah. That's like why at the concert it was so magical. Which okay, here's something. This is controversial. Which is why I'm not...
brave. I want to say something controversial, yet brave.
Yet brave. So this is why I'm not going.
To the movie. Of her concert.
Yeah. So the Eras Tour has now become a movie and it's in theaters and that's super exciting. Mm-hmm. I will not be going to see it because I don't want a concert experience at a movie theater. I already had the concert experience and that was fine in a large arena.
Yeah. No, stadium.
Okay. Yeah. Stadium. I do not want to be in a small room with a bunch of people screaming. my sensoriness issues cannot take the bouncing off the wall sound and the movement and I just can't deal with it because I've seen videos in some theaters where people it's like a cult, which we know we're in a cult, so it's whatever. But it's a cult we're happy we're in.
Yeah.
And I'm self-aware.
I think that most people in cults feel pretty happy that they're in the cult or they wouldn't be in it. Or are we talking about like death cults?
I don't think but they're not, they won't acknowledge they're in a cult.
Got you. Okay.
So we're self-aware that we're in a cult.
They just say, I'm a Scientologist. And then they move on.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they just are like, no, this is a religion.
A cult.
What? So, but yes, I won't be going to see the movie because I'm aware that I will hate everyone inside of there who is just going to be enjoying themselves. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to shit on their experience.
I saw where some people said they were going to see it in IMAX theaters, which I was like, if I was going to go to the theater and watch it, that would be the move. Have you ever been in an IMAX theater? Mm-hmm. It's like 3 or 4 stories tall screens and it's like very loud. That would be the closest you could get, I think, to replicating the concert experience in a theater.
Yeah. And, I know a lot of people, they're dressing up, they're exchanging friendship bracelets. And I think I'm all for this kind of stuff, but I am a movie bro. I am and so for me, I want to experience the theater a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that is not the way I want to experience it. So I will just wait for it to come out and I will watch it in my home because I am just like, I can't deal with it. I wish they would have, and I know there's really not a realistic way to do it, but I wish that they could offer it like, here's the theater that you can do this in. Here's the one where you can't.
Pick your experience.
Yes, so that way people that want to see the movie they just want to sit down and watch it and they can. The other ones that want to have more of the concert kind of experience along with it, like they can do that as well. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to shit on the people that want to do it that way. I just know myself enough to know that I would want to choke all of them.
I did see where some people were saying that they went to go see it in theaters and they had also seen it at the concert. And that it was nice because you really get to see more of like her performance and her facial expressions and even like the backup dancers and the backup singers and kind of how it like all comes together. And I do get that because even though we had really good seats, there's parts of the show that like I didn't even observe, one, because I was just too excited and just mostly singing and screaming and dancing. To where you almost aren't even like totally paying attention to the everything going on.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So like I would enjoy being able just to see the whole production like from front on, because like a lot of the show was designed for you to experience it literally watching it almost like a movie where it's front on, because she's got the floor and then the screen behind her and everything sort of works together. And even the platform had screens on it. So I
don't know, maybe
that'd be cool.
We live in a small town, so I'm thinking if I go on a weekend at like the earliest possible show on like a Sunday, maybe it'll be okay.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, if I give it a few weeks, I'll give it a few weeks and then I'll go, because it would be cool to see. Because like, going to the concert
usually the
different.
Third week is when it's gonna be the fewest people there by the third week.
Because I'm like, I will say, there was a lot of at the actual concert, a lot of singing and a lot of dancing. And so there are definitely times where I have to remember I was really there and I saw her. And then I'll look at my videos and I'm like, there she is.
There's parts of the concert, the only thing I remember is me dancing around and singing. Yeah. That's it. I don't remember what she was doing on stage. I don't remember what you were doing. I was just in my moment. It was about me. I was the main character and I was vibing, and that's all I remember.
That was it.
It was a fever dream.
It was just like we were all there, and then we were like, I forgot that
we were there. It was where it was rare. We remember it.
All too well. Barely, actually. All too well and barely at the same time.
Not that well, actually.
No. Yeah. So, that was my take on the Taylor Swift film, because I'm like, I want to go see it, but holy shit. But also, speaking of Taylor.
Wait.
What?
Roll the intro.
Oh.
Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just... Yeah?
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know, I think I was pretty great. Just
sucks to suck.
Why are you saying that with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
And we're live. I'm Anna.
I'm Jessica.
And this is Why Are You Yelling?
Damn. Whew, shoot. But no, so talking about Taylor Swift. Pictures of her with Travis Kelce, I'm done. They're so cute. I'm like...
I feel like you were not on board this ship at the beginning, and I'm fully on board. They're my captains. We're on the ship together. And you were just not quite as enthusiastic, but I feel like you're coming around.
Okay. I think that whenever a child of divorce, they have to process it at their own speed, Some people were just... I love Joe Alwyn and her together. I will say I hold issue with people trying to paint him as this villainous, and obviously I'm not there. Maybe he is a total dickhead. I don't fucking know him. But I think that I don't think we have to put Joe Alwyn down because we like her and Travis Kelce. And I've seen a lot of like videos doing that where they're trying to imply like, oh, well, she had to be in private for so long with Joe and trying to put all these negative things about it when there was a time where we felt that was nice and beautiful, that it was just theirs and it was private without the whole world's opinion in. And so I think that the script being flipped so suddenly where we're acting like something that was a horrible thing is just like...
It's just different. They're just different people in different relationships. Yeah. So like what worked for Taylor and Joe in their relationship and what worked for a long time for them was being private and keeping it to themselves and not putting themselves out and their relationship out there in that way. And that worked for them for a long time. And who's to say why the relationship ended? We don't know.
Yeah.
We can speculate. But that's not to say that like that is the cause of their relationship ending, was that she got tired of keeping stuff private. We don't know that. But like what works for her and Travis Kelce at this point in their early courtship, we'll call it that, it is what they're doing now, because they've clearly have talked about it. You can tell because when he does his podcast, or when he did his podcast after that first game she went to, and you know, he said what he said about they're going to try and, you know, they are who they are, and they're going to try and keep things private, but that's all they're just going to be themselves and exist, and what happens happens. Like you can tell that they had some sort of conversation about it. So, I mean,
oh, for sure. I mean, and they're
going to figure it out. Either or they won't.
Yeah, it's one or the other. And so I'm like, to me though, I'm like, you know, obviously that's the only thing that I'm like, y'all can chill. You don't have to put down her past relationship to lift up her new relationship. Like you don't have to put down Joe Alwyn, and people are allowed to be private people. And that doesn't mean he was a shitty person or he was ashamed of her. Some people are more introverted, and, you know, sometimes that works for relationships. And I think that, you know, people are multidimensional. So there might be a part of Taylor that worked really well with Joe, her introverted side, her quieter side, her whatever side, you know, probably meshed really well with him. But that's not, and, you know, that might just be his personality more so than it's hers. Mm-hmm. Like her, you know, that being like, that might be one of his main personality traits versus, you know, not hers.
I mean, it's about just compromise. Any relationship is about bringing two separate entities together and figuring out how to make those mesh. Yeah. And sometimes the compromise looks like doing more of what one person wants in certain aspects of the relationship. Yeah. Versus, and then in other times it goes the opposite way. So, I mean, again, completely different relationship, completely different people. And like you said, you don't have to put someone else down and put her relationship with Joe down in order to celebrate like that she seemingly looks happy and, you know, is involved in, I almost said engaged in this new relationship. Yeah. She's not engaged. No. But like involved, you know, you don't have to do that in order to, like you said.
I'm like, you know, it is what it is. And so I'm just like we don't have to act like she was a prisoner in her relationship. And I think that's what it is. Like she wasn't a prisoner in a relationship with him, with Joe Alwyn. So it's over with, and it was what it was, and it brought out a lot of beautiful music. You know, some of her most beautiful love songs have been written about Joe Alwyn, and, you know, maybe her most beautiful song will be written about Travis Kelce. I don't fucking know.
Do you know what I thought about the other day was like how many of her songs, how many of her albums, because she started writing about him in Reputation. So Reputation, Lover, Folklore, Evermore, Midnights. So that's 5 albums. It's like half her discography was with this one guy. And can you like, props to Travis Kelce, because you got to be a strong man, very secure in who you are and what you have going and the future potential of this relationship in order to like not let that affect you negatively. Like you have to be very secure in who you are in order to be like, because can you imagine if you're not that secure in who you are and then you're like, I'm getting with this girl who I think is really attractive and she's the biggest pop star in the world right now, and she's written 5 albums about her last relationship. Like beautiful songs.
Also, they wrote some beautiful songs together.
Exactly.
So like the Joe was the only guy that, well, I mean, I guess there was Calvin Harris, but I mean, she wrote that song. This is what you came for. And he just produced it. He didn't write it, from my understanding. She wrote it, right? I think she wrote it, and then they did it together. That's the one he did with Rihanna. And so anyway, but Joe, from my understanding, is the only guy she's written music with.
That she was in a relationship.
That she was in a relationship with. That like she's written music with and like shared that part. So I'm like, you know, you have to be pretty confident. But that goes with, I guess, anything. Like if a girl's with a guy or a guy's with a girl, you know, if you enter a relationship with somebody and then they were previously in an extremely long relationship or something, I mean, that would just be intimidating anyway. Like,
I mean, I guess it's a little different though if we're talking about like, because obviously everyone has like the memories you have from that previous relationship, and you know, you as the new person, you can't really compete with memories or stuff or feelings like that from the past. And I think it's even different, like, because then if you look at like 2 people who were together for a long time and had children, you know, they're always going to have those children together. It's something they made together. Yeah. Like, and you have to be able to, but I feel like that's more accepted and people are used to kind of figuring out how to work around that. But when we're talking about like art, that not just that you made and sang and was successful, but like millions of people around the world are singing this song or all these songs that you wrote about somebody, and like I feel like it's it's like you can't escape it. It's like it never goes away.
Well, yeah, and yeah, but I'm also like, Joe had to do that too, because you would think like one of her most successful songs, I mean, what's within the fandom is All Too Well. And the 10-minute version came out while she's with Joe. So, but she's having to rehash the Fearless, Red. I don't know if she was doing Speak Now or not when they were together. But I would
argue a lot of her previous songs weren't necessarily like happy love songs.
Oh, yeah.
Or like it was more about like the end of a relationship or like the conflicting parts of a relationship. It's not like Lover.
But I guess
where it's
my toxic ass is like, man, she says if I'm Joe, right? I'm like, she's sitting up there just singing about her heartbreak from someone else. What do you mean you've ever had your heart broken? That means you cared about somebody before me. So it's like, but I think too, though, like love songs can become maybe, when she sings them, she might not think about him anymore, which is sad, maybe, or not sad. But yeah, I mean, you have to be secure to be okay with that, or to feel like confident enough to know like this was a part of her life, and this was written originally about this person, and she might not feel anything about it anymore. But I mean, also she still might. Maybe she does think about him, or maybe she remembers those times and it makes her happy while she's in the moment. It's like, have you ever seen that performance with Fleetwood Mac where like her and the guy aren't together anymore, but there's that song they have together and they're singing on stage?
I've seen people talk about it online, but I haven't seen the performance.
That is just powerful stuff, man.
I mean, I guess it comes back to like how feelings in a way are transferable and also not. So like you can... So her song Lover from the Lover album, where she's talking about like all these things about like how much she loves this person, about Joe Alwyn. When say, she writes that song in the moment, it's all these feelings she has specifically about this person. And then, they break up and then moving on. And then it's like she can sing that song again and even mean it, but about a different person. And it's like, you can still feel those same types of feelings for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so it's like the way that like love and your emotions, you can transfer them literally from one person to another, but it's still different in that like, I guess it's just that like the relationship is different. And so the person you're feeling those feelings about is different, but the feeling is the same.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm getting real in my head about it. I'm like,
it's that, but there's also like, when you write a song about a memory, it's like, even if you're if you're in a new relationship in love with somebody else, but then you're singing a song where the memory is definitely tied to this one person forever. I'm like, I think you have to have an emotional maturity about you to understand that, like, of course, when you're an artist, there's a lot of times the relationships in someone's life are forever. They might not have a relationship together anymore, but the relationship they shared is somewhat...
It's immortalized.
Yeah.
In that, like, that specific moment in time, like if we're talking about Lover, the song, that specific moment in time when she felt that way about this person is immortalized forever in this song, in the lyrics, in the notes of that song. So, like, it's encapsulated and will live as long as people hear and remember that song. But that's all it is. It's like a moment that's like carved out in time that just kind of sits right here. And like it doesn't, I guess for her it wouldn't necessarily like carry on, or it kind of does.
I
maybe
think that you can look back on something with like a melancholy type feeling of like it was beautiful for what it was at the time, and feelings I don't it's okay for feelings to come back up, but they might not be as strong or as whatever. And I don't know. I mean, even if the relationship, however it ended, there was a time that it was beautiful, and it's okay to remember that time and be happy that you had that at one point. And then if it brings that up for that moment, I think that's okay. But I do think like Travis Kelce, having to be he seems confident. So yeah, I was very team Joe. I liked Joe Alwyn. I liked that relationship. And it is but granted, I like that relationship. What a weird fucking concept, right? So I also just think he's hot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Joe Alwyn to me is really hot, but he's my type. Tall, skinny, blonde.
I'm like, see, and I'm like, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, so like literally my boyfriend, Travis, like tall, blonde. You know, I don't like him overtly muscular. I'm not trying to say Travis isn't muscular. I'm just saying like I'm not really into like the bodybuilder or even like football, like super muscular type. And so Joe Alwyn was like my cup of tea. And so
Your cup of British tea.
British tea. So yeah, Travis Kelce, this kind of looks like a police officer who like would turn his body cam off right now to me. And I don't like the mustache. I've seen him other times. So like he's an attractive guy. He's a very good looking guy. I don't like his mustache. And that's okay.
You know,
he's
experimenting. It's a moment. I think it's a phase. I think we'll move past it.
But you can't tell me that he doesn't kind of look like a good old boy with it.
I think he looks like a good old boy.
I know you do. I just am like, no, I've seen him without it. And he's an attractive dude.
Yeah.
I'm not into the mustache, but that's okay. We all have moments. And that's fine.
You're having a bangs moment.
I'm having a bang. I like my bangs.
I do like your bangs.
I like them. I don't know. I'm going to compare him to his mustache. But now the middle part without bangs, I would compare to his mustache. You know, I wasn't into my middle part without the bangs. That wasn't really for me. But I did it for a second, and then I figured out how to tailor it to myself in a better way. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, but the pictures of them walking together
from
hand
SNL,
in hand, I was like, okay, but like they're so cute. They look really good together, though. They do look good.
They complement each other very well.
Yes, they do.
They make a good looking couple.
They're a very attractive couple.
And the fact that, how tall is Taylor Swift? She's like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, it has to be something like that.
She's like really tall. Because like, I want to say he's 6'4", 6'5", something like that. He's like ridiculously tall. And she was wearing heels to where she's over 6 feet tall, and he still got like 4 or 5 inches on her. And I was like, damn, girl, you picked a good one.
Yeah. He picked her.
You know what?
He was like,
props to him.
He was like, girl, I tried to give you a friendship bracelet
with my number.
And look at you now.
He shot his shot.
He did.
I'm like, I wonder how that actually happened. Like, how did he actually
How'd they finally talk?
Yeah, unless it's just like the Instagram DMs or something. Because that's like the most direct way. Yeah. But it's also like...
Isn't it weird to imagine Taylor just doing an Instagram DM with somebody? Like, right? It's like sliding into his DMs like, so what's that number? Like, I'm like, Taylor, what are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean? No, she's a princess. She has like a
team. She's a person that did it for her.
Yes, she has like a team member. She's like, go get them for me, like, you know, and they just go do her bidding. She's a queen. She can't just pick up. No.
How interesting is it to know that like how much power you have as a person, in that if you wanted to get in contact with literally anybody in the world, you could probably make it happen, or you have a team in place that could make it happen.
I've thought about that. Like, and how I just crave that power.
Like if you're Taylor Swift or if you're Beyonce and you wanted to like talk to, you know, President Barack Obama, you could make that happen. They will talk to you.
Yeah. I mean, because like, why wouldn't you talk to Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
But then it's like,
do you think if they reached out to Vladimir Putin that he'd talk to them?
Oh, I'm sure.
What if Vlad is like a secret Swiftie? Oh, God. Could you? I would die. Can somebody make that skit, please?
He's like, shake it off. Shake it off.
Like riding his bear and shit. Like,
but like, how does that even work? Because I'm just imagining. So like, say you're Taylor Swift and you want to get in touch with like George Clooney or something. So I'm trying to think of like somebody like that A-list celebrity that might be hurt, or like
Tree is getting it. She's taking care of business.
Or like The Rock. If you want to get in touch with The Rock, are you like, who on your team? Like, you have to have someone on your team in place that's not only good enough at their job, but has all the right connections. Like, is it my publicist reaches out to their publicist?
Yeah, probably.
But then, like, how do we know that their publicists know each other?
Because they all know each other.
Because they do.
They all know each other. So that's probably, you know, that's what, like, that's what I would think.
It's because, like, yeah. And as a publicist, you have to make it your job to know who all the big players are and how to get in touch with them.
I love, like, you know, Taylor's publicist, Tree? Tree Payne.
I've heard
I think her name is Tree
You've
Payne.
mentioned it.
She is a fiery redhead, and she's a queen. And
was she in the? She's been with her since the Miss Americana stuff, right? Was she the publicist that was there?
Yes,
because I remember a redheaded lady.
Yeah. I don't know how long Tree's been with Taylor, but I think she's been with her a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been with her like an extremely long time. I don't know. I need to know that. I need to know how long Tree's been there. But
on it.
But during the red carpet event for Taylor's premiere of her Eras Tour movie. At one point, Taylor's like, I just do what the redhead tells me. And I'm like, yeah, their publicists are, I think they all kind of know each other. They're super
2014.
powerful. 2014. Okay.
Yeah, so they've been together almost 10 years.
Yeah. But no, Tree's a freaking boss, man. Like it's funny that her publicist has a fandom. Like people love Tree. So, but yeah, I'll be interested in seeing, like, if she keeps going to the Chiefs games, and I wonder if he'll come visit her when she's in Europe. Like I don't know, we'll see. And I'm also gonna figure out I'm determined to get New Orleans tickets to see her again. I want 3. I want to take Travis so bad. Because he doesn't have any interest in the movie. Because he's like, it's to me, he goes, if I was going to go do that, I want to see that in person. And I'm like, God, there's so much money. I need this podcast to make money so we can use this money to go to New Orleans and see her. All 3 of us, because he won't be fun to dance with. But I want him to, like, he still needs to
enjoy it.
And I'm like, but I'm still like gonna be my psycho self, and I'm like, and I want the good seats. I'm like, no, that's the way I want to experience it.
We can't ever go back.
No, Fall Out Boy will be in Jacksonville in March, and the most this is so fucked up. So after spending the money we did on Taylor Swift, my perception of what a concert ticket should cost has been skewed.
It's shifted forever.
So I'm
because
like,
most people are like, concert tickets shouldn't be more than like $20 for general admission. For the really good seats, maybe a couple hundred. And we're like,
I'm like, I spent way too much money, but I'm happy with that experience. So when I was looking at Fall Out Boy tickets, I saw like the most expensive one was $300 something. And I went, that's nothing. And I was like,
that is nothing.
But I mean, in comparison to what I spent for Taylor Swift, that's how I'm now viewing everything. And I was like, well, we might just be going to see Fall Out Boy then. So I'm keeping my eye on that because that would be fun. Because I really, really like their new album.
You know who I'm keeping my eye out on is Andrew Schultz, is a comedian who's going on tour. He's announced a couple dates in the U.S. because he started his tour like overseas in the UK and stuff. And I'm like, sir,
you're like, are you American or what? Like, what are you doing?
His which I think they were doing. I think they did the filming for the special in the UK. I think. So, but he's not doing any tour dates in the U.S. until 2024. But I've been keeping my eye out because I'm like, either you're coming to Atlanta or you're coming to like Jacksonville, and we're going.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Travis can come too. I don't care. But
I don't care.
I'm like, if I have to buy 3 tickets, I'll buy 3 tickets. But we're going.
That would be fun.
Because I think he's hysterical, and I'm like,
he is funny.
Keep my eye out. I'm watching all the announcements. He announced a couple of U.S. dates, but none near here. So. Just have to wait.
So, what would you like to jump into first? My thing or your thing?
We do your thing.
Okay. So, I have an issue with something, and I just wanted to know your opinion on it. And I am not ignorant enough to think that I have any business talking about any kind of world politics. Like, come the fuck on, be fucking for real. So, I think that being said, I'm of the opinion that it's okay if you don't say anything. And I think an important message should be told to all celebrities everywhere that you don't have to say anything. Because it's like, who fucking asked you your opinion? And so the reason this led to me, like why this thought process happened for me was The Rock put out a statement about the Israel-Hamas situation. And people have different opinions about, why the attack has happened, and so, people saying it's terrorism. Other people arguing that it's been a long time. I'm not here to tell you which way or the other, besides the fact that obviously terrorism is wrong, but why the fuck do I have to say that is my point? Why the fuck does anybody have to say that? And so to me, that's just, well, duh. So when The Rock puts out his statement, he's like, he pretty much says that he condemns and denounces terrorism and it's wrong. And
who doesn't condemn and denounce terrorism?
And it's like, and then you had people like,
why do you have to condemn and denounce it? Like, why? It's obviously
like in my mind, and I hate to throw someone under the bus that I like, but Ian Somerhalder made me cringe. And I hate saying that because I like Ian Somerhalder, but he reposted what The Rock said. And he said, I don't have any words, but if I did, there would be something like this. Well, no offense, but if you don't have the words, then just be quiet. Like, just, no offense, just don't say anything. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, to me, that you think that anyone gives a fuck how you feel about this. Like, You're not affected by this at all. You live in America. You are in the higher up when it comes to wealth. So you don't even like have any kind of problem that like normal people have here, which is, I'm not condemning you for that. But can we not act like anybody needs to know how you feel about a situation that doesn't affect you at all? It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes for the last time, and he said, get up here and accept your award and fuck off. Because let's not act like any of you have any concept of the real world and that you live in it. And you don't have any business lecturing anybody about anything. That's just the truth, though.
I think that I agree to an extent. I think that, and we've talked about this before, many episodes ago when we were, I think, audio only still. But I do think that if you have a platform that is as big as somebody's like The Rock's, I think that if there are certain issues that you feel strongly about and you want to bring to the attention of the public and share resources for them to learn more, I think that that's a good thing. I think that you should do that.
Yeah.
But I would draw the line at we talked about before. I would draw the line at like preaching toward people and like constantly just like hitting them over the head with things, because then they start to tune you out because they're like, I don't care, just go make a movie. Like stop talking about it. So I think that there's a fine line between like you have people on your marketing team that can tell you the best way to get your message across and achieve what you're trying to achieve. Utilize those people. Yeah. They can help you figure out some sort of way to do this that's strategic and gets people to listen. But yeah, I also don't know that we necessarily have to hear your specific opinion about certain things, especially things as nuanced and complicated as the Israel-Palestine conflict, and then throwing in terrorist organizations or terrorist groups like Hamas. I don't know that you are the one that needs to put any sort of opinion out there about anything. If you want to provide resources for people to learn more, again, or just bring it to the general public's attention because you feel like people aren't talking about it enough. I get that, because when more people are aware of a situation, then more people are, then they do become more educated and they do become more active and they do try to like affect some sort of change. So I agree that to that extent. But like you said, just saying I condemn terrorism, like,
or like your feelings, like he's like, I'm just horrified at the events that have taken place. No offense, but why do I give a fuck that you're horrified? Like that, I think it's the idea that like it's everything. So Reese Witherspoon, who I love, put out a statement and said, like, you know, as a mother, it saddened and horrified me basically to see all these like children and, you know, mothers losing their children within this conflict. And I know we're talking about innocent lives here is what their point is. And they're trying to highlight the fact that like innocent lives are being lost within this conflict.
But that happens with any war.
I'm sitting here like,
and it's always sad.
How, like, I feel like you're making this about yourself and your feelings, whether you mean to or not. You might have, maybe you're thinking to yourself, like, I want them to know that I stand with them. But what makes you think they have the fucking time to log into fucking Instagram and know how the fuck you feel about it? Who gives a fuck how you feel about it? Are you helping them? Does that help them at all to know that, oh, I'm sorry? You're not helping anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most that it would do is if you put out any sort of statement or anything like that, whether you say you're, you know, condemning one side or the other, or you're in support of one side or the other, or even just saying like it's heartbreaking to see, you know, innocent people lose their lives. The only thing that really does is that the other people in your life who actually are affected by the things you do and say and care about the things you do and say, like, they'll know that you feel this kind of way about it. But like you said, those people probably are not the ones actively involved and affected directly by the conflict. So,
because I'm also like,
because I would think, I'm thinking of it more from the perspective of like, if you are Reese Witherspoon and you have friends that are Jewish, or you have friends, you know, like that are Muslim, or you know, that would be a little more impacted by what's going on, whether they have family or friends or loved ones, or even if it's just more of a like cultural, like spiritual impact. I would think that if you're Reese Witherspoon, you have people like that in your life, you making some sort of public statement, maybe it helps them in some way, knowing that like you and your position with the amount of publicity that's on you are, you know, supporting that. Maybe they feel supported. But again, that's only like that's helping them.
Yeah, it's like you're not actually helping anybody over there. And it's superficial,
it feels like.
Well, and then in the statement, she's like, and I'll be gathering resources to help to give, like, to share with you all. So if you want to donate to help this or to help that. And I'm like, why didn't you just do that though? Like, why is it that you're going to tell me you're going to go do that? Because I also think about this kind of thing. They have such a high following, you know, their platforms have to be monetized. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're going to make money off of a post, and I'm not saying that this was an intention of theirs. I'm not saying they sat here and said, let me monetize this post and make money from it, but you are going to. Like, you know, those platforms are monetized, so you're putting out a statement about your personal feelings about a conflict that has nothing to do with you, and you're making money off of it. Whether you are intentionally doing that, I'm not saying that's like a thought that you had when you made it, but that is what's happening. So it's like, you're gaining, because then it's like, I don't think that, or in the comments are like, thank you so much, Reese. And yes, our hearts are broken too. And it becomes about Reese's feelings or The Rock's feelings. And you're such a good person. And I'm with you. My heart's broken too. And wow, you're such a good-hearted person. But why is it about them at all now? It's not about them. Who gives a fuck how they feel about it?
Your feelings are not as important as the actual people being affected.
No, exactly. So it's like, it just is so tone deaf to me that people... that certain celebrities wake up and think they need to share their thoughts and opinions on something that has nothing to fucking do with them. And it's okay if they watch the news just like everybody else, you know? It's okay to see that and think to themselves, God, this is so heartbreaking to me. Like, this is so, that's okay. Having a human reaction like that, totally fine. But it's the fact that you thought to yourself, I better put out a statement about this. Who gives a fuck how you feel about it? Unless you're doing something to help, or unless, you know, you're Jewish or you're Muslim and you have family over there, so you have more of a direct tie over there, or you have close friends and family or whoever, actual close relationships in your life that are affected by this, or if you were involved in this, like, somehow in that situation before the attack happened. Mm-hmm. So unless you had
you had a history of supporting a certain cause or something like that.
That would make sense. You know, like when Leonardo DiCaprio has an opinion about something with climate change, I'm not shocked, you know, because it's kind of part of his brand. So it's like, you make movies and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's also like, another thing that irritates me is, so Kim Kardashian put out a statement, and I wasn't annoyed with her because of the fact that the attacks happened, and all of a sudden her comments are flooded with, why the fuck haven't you said anything? Why haven't you said anything? Why the fuck should she have to? So her statement was more like, obviously, you know, she said certain things. She also talked about how she's actually advocated for the Armenian genocide that's still happening to this day that nobody's talking about. And she thinks that she basically is like, I think if people want to say something, they should be allowed to say something. But if they don't want to, they shouldn't have to. And I agree with that. I don't think that everybody needs to, like, just because something happens in the world doesn't mean that all of us are suddenly going to be experts in world fucking politics.
And even have the right to have an opinion about it.
Like, shut the fuck up.
And honestly, I don't have an opinion about it. Like, I don't have an opinion one way or another because I'm not informed enough.
Yeah.
And it feels like whether you say one way or another, people are going to villainize you for it.
Yeah.
Because it is such a complicated thing that it's like, I don't feel that I need to say anything because there are lots of people that have lots of opinions and I am not the best person to say anything about it. Like, I don't have to. And I'm not interested in having an opinion about it. I have opinions about a lot of things, a lot more things that I know a lot more about. I don't have an opinion about this. And that's okay. I don't have to have one. And you can't, like, get mad at me for not having an opinion and for refusing to have it. I refuse to have an opinion about certain things because I'm like, I just don't.
Well, yeah,
it's not my place.
Like, I'm not educated enough to have a true opinion that's not just fed by sound bites from the internet.
And then people would then argue, well, you should become educated about this particular thing so you can have an opinion. And it's like,
But what does
I disagree.
Yeah, like what does me having an opinion about it fucking change? So, when I say I don't have an opinion, obviously the loss of innocent human lives is a tragedy. Obviously that's sad. Obviously terrorism's wrong. So why the fuck does somebody have to say the obvious here? When I say I don't have an opinion, it means I don't know enough about this decades-long conflict between this situation that's been going down since before I was even born. I'm not educated enough to have an opinion as to why it's happening. That's what I mean. Obviously, the loss of human life is sad. Duh. Who the fuck needs to make a statement about that shit? Why do we have to make statements about obvious shit? Like, it's just so tone deaf to me, and it comes from this privileged place.
So on a lighter note, I saw this thing, it was a BuzzFeed article, where they were talking about how Kim Kardashian said that she's still friends with Tristan Thompson, who, for those who don't know, Tristan Thompson was previously with Khloe Kardashian, who's Kim's sister. And they have now had 2 babies together, but there's also been some infidelity on Tristan's side, and they've been like on again, off again. But I think now at this point, they're like co-parenting or something.
It's okay. I'm an expert in this.
Okay, good. So basically Kim has said that she and Tristan are actually really good friends. And that Tristan has like stepped up, especially when Kim was in the midst of her divorce from Kanye West. And that Tristan really helped step up to help her with her kids, or even like her son specifically, like to, take him out to dinner or spend some like quality time with him, I guess, as like a male sort of figure in his life. And that she was really appreciative of that. Even like, I think the article said to this day too, that like Khloe she like takes care of Tristan's younger sibling, I think, who has like some disabilities.
Amari.
And helps take care of Tristan's younger sibling.
Yeah.
Which I think is like props to her for doing that. That takes a really big person to step in and do that. And
that situation's also more complicated than just that, because what happened was so Tristan already fucked Khloe over once, and she forgave him, and they were together. So they were going through like a surrogacy situation. And the second that basically it was successful, it turned out that previously he had cheated on Khloe again and had a son with somebody else, and he hadn't told her. So she found out publicly, and it was devastating for her. But they are now having a son together. Like, it literally already happened. So Khloe, they're not together or anything, but obviously he's the father of her children, that's what she said before. And that is what it is. And obviously she's angry and everything like that. But what kind of brought everything to how it is now is Tristan's mom died. And she was the sole caregiver of his younger brother, Amari, who is disabled. And so what happened was Tristan's house, his roof collapsed because he had bought a house near them so he could be near his 2 kids and with Khloe. And so because that happened, Amari needs a lot of care, like nurses and doctors and things like that. And so it's like he could have stayed at a hotel, but that's not really the environment for that kind of situation. And so, Khloe was very receptive of them staying with her while Tristan's house was fixed. And in the most recent episode of The Kardashians that aired, she talks about how she also feels she's well equipped to handle the situation because of what she went through with Lamar. Because, Lamar, her ex-husband, had overdosed, and they didn't think he'd ever pretty much wake up or be a normal functioning human again, but she helped basically nurse him back to health and to get him normal again. And so she just feels she's well equipped to help with this, but she also has empathy for Tristan because he lost his mom and she's lost her dad, and she didn't have to take care of her younger disabled sibling while processing that loss. And so she has that's the thing with Khloe, is she seems to have this huge fucking heart. And I think too with Kim, it would be hypocritical in a way for Khloe to be mad at Kim about being friends with Tristan when she's friends with Scott.
Yeah. When Khloe's friends with Scott.
When Khloe is probably the closest to Scott.
They're really good friends.
Yeah. And we know what Scott put Kourtney through. And the whole internet still loves Scott Disick.
Yeah.
So it's I love Scott Disick.
that whole family just has some really functional, dysfunctional relationships.
But I think the funny thing, though, is people are judgmental of it. And I'm like, y'all ever look at your own family's dysfunction? Like, it's wild. So it's like, yeah, it's like, how is she going to be friends? Like, or how was Kim going to be friends with Tristan? And I'm like, the same way they all are still friends with Scott. I mean, yeah, Scott, he didn't father any children outside of Courtney, but he definitely cheated on her and he did drugs and he treated her like shit. I mean, it's not any better. So it would be hypocritical to act like Kim is some villain for being friends with Tristan when they are all still friends with Scott.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, I mean, and we had a little like experience with this where it's interesting that you can talk to people about like their friends, their choice of friends. And it's like people can be really good people outside of their romantic relationships. So it's like they might treat their partners like crap or treat their partners like just like they have no respect or actual love for them, right? They're just like, you know, cheating, messing around, just being kind of awful to them in that way. But like they're really good friends to their friends.
Yeah.
You know, like they're fun to hang out with and they're supportive and they're there for them through hard times. And so it's like, I think it's interesting that sometimes it really kind of falls down to what your relationship with that person is like, whether you can forgive the bad things they do to other people. Right? Because it's the same as like, you know, if I were to do something to someone else that, you know, most other people are like, how could she? She's a total bitch. Like, that was a horrible thing to do to somebody, but like, you're my best friend. So you're going to be like, well, yeah, she did a fucked up thing, but she's still my best friend.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she didn't do it to me. So,
yeah.
duh. But so, I mean, I think it's a complicated situation, but it's still, I don't know. It's just interesting how people are willing to forgive or overlook certain things because people are not so like good or bad, you know?
I think another reason that, you know, if Scott didn't have children with Courtney, I don't think that it would be this way. And if Tristan didn't have children with Chloe, I don't think it'd be this way. I think that, you know,
there's a permanent blood tie now to that family.
And so I think they hold the opinion that, well, it's easier to have them in our lives in a positive way than a negative way for the kids is how I think they see it, which, I mean, good on them if they can all be that way. You know, I think that that would be complicated, but yeah, I mean, if they didn't have kids with each other, that's when I'd think, well, that's kind of shitty. Like, that's just weird. Like, at that point, there's nothing holding you to this person, you know, like and that would be where it's like, that's just disrespectful. But yeah, I think the blended families gets complicated, but I also think too, you have a lot of trauma bonds going on. Like, Scott Disick lost both of his parents like within like a month of each other. So all he had was Chris and that family that he had known for so long. And Tristan just lost his mom. And so I think that loss, because I mean, that is the Kardashians do know loss. You know, they lost their dad. And that was a huge loss for them. I mean, it happened before, like, 4 years, I think, before they got the TV show. So they know that, and that is a huge loss. So I think, you know, there is true empathy there that they probably just can't help but have for those people. Because, I mean, it's a pain you don't want other people to have to feel, especially when they don't have anybody else to really rely on. Like, Scott doesn't really have, from my understanding, a lot of family. I don't know if Tristan does or not, but, you know, they're real quick to step up, it seems. And it's like, you can't get mad at just because, well, Tristan did this. Well, yeah, he did, but then have the same energy for Scott. And we all know how the world feels about Scott Disick.
I want to say there was like a clip from an episode I saw where they're having a conversation, the family's having a conversation about like who to invite to some like holiday party or get together or family vacation, something like that. And then, you know, somebody was saying, oh, well, are we going to invite, I forget exactly who it was, but they were like, oh, we can't invite like it was either like Tristan or Scott or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris says something like, well, I mean, they're still family. Like just because they did some bad things, like we can't just not, like they're still part of this family. We have to forgive and move on. And then I want to say it was Kendall said something about like, well, what about my dad?
Yeah.
Like, is my dad invited? And then Chris went real quiet. But it was I forget if,
I mean,
exactly what the clip
I agree. And like, I agree with the sentiment that like, how do I put it? I don't think that Tristan and Scott need to come to every fucking family function known to man, because Courtney's moved on and Courtney's more important to that family.
Yeah.
Whether or not you think she's a wet blanket or not, or whether you like her or not, or and whatever. At the end of the day, she's like a Kardashian.
Yeah.
So if they're having a family Christmas party, her being comfortable at that party is more important, more important than Scott's feelings being hurt that he's not invited. Because the fact is, you had a chance and you fucked it up, and you can have independent relationships with Chloe and Kim outside of the family functions, and that's fine. And Chris, Kendall, any of them. But that does not mean you have a place at said family function. Now, I also hold the opinion that if I'm having a birthday party,
if you're the host,
if I'm the host and I want certain people there, I'll invite who I want. And if you two can't figure it out, that's on you and not my problem. But I think as the, Chris being the mother, though, I think it's whoever the host is how I view that relationship. I think Chris needs to prioritize her children, her true children, versus their baby daddies. Just because she can love and care about them, but at the end of the day, it's her daughters that are more important than them. But, if it's Kendall's birthday party, or Kim or whoever, if it's just my birthday party and I want to have certain people there, then I think it's kind of different. In a way.
I'm like, because
I feel like as a mom, like that's literally your job is to protect your children. And maybe I'm not close to this sister right now, and she's a bitch, and I'm mad at her, and
we'll just
I have more fun with so and so.
It's a fluid situation. Yeah, it depends on the event and the people that are going to be there. It's not a decree for all family functions. We determine it function by function.
I think, hey, I'm having this party. I'm going to go to Courtney and I'm going to say, hey, I'm having this. I'd like to invite Scott, but I don't want you to be uncomfortable. How would you feel about that? And then she tells me how she feels about that. And that's how we handle it. Same thing with Tristan and Chloe.
And it could change depending on how their relationships change too.
Because he did go.
Yeah.
In the first season, I think she had a Christmas party and they were all there. And I felt that was fucking awkward as fuck. And I wasn't even there. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. But yeah, I think it's weird because I've seen some people condemn Kim for hanging out with Tristan, and I'm like, y'all ain't condemning Chloe for hanging out with Scott, so what the fuck y'all talking about?
Because they like Scott.
Yeah, because Scott's an icon.
Yeah.
I love Scott. Like, I'm not going to, he's literally iconic.
But again, there are certain things that, because of as an audience, our relationship with that family and with Scott, there are certain things we can forgive and overlook because Scott didn't do it to us.
Pretty much.
We like him more than Courtney. He's more entertaining to us than Courtney.
I think Scott's more relatable because I think a lot of what he says were like mood. Obviously, though, how he treated her was disgusting and horrible, and he was so wrong. And God, that was what was annoying with Scott, man. You're like, come on,
just get it together.
I want him to have it together.
You're rooting for him.
Yes, you root for him because he's real good at making you feel bad for him. And I think that was something that was really hard for Courtney, is she's like, he's so good at making you feel bad for him, and that was something her family would, and then she would be frustrated, and I get that. And so, but man, he is real good at making you feel bad for him, and you root for him, and then he would fuck up, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm going to literally just punch you in the face. Why are you acting like this? But you know what? His loss. Now she's with Travis Barker, which that's weird to me. It's weird to me.
There's so many Travises in this episode.
It's weird to me because he wanted Kim first, and that's just weird. And he said so in his book, and that's just bizarre. Travis Barker's book, he talks about Kim Kardashian. He wanted her, and it's weird. And
then he got the sister. I would feel a ways about that. And
a lot of people have opinions about that too. So maybe next time. I'm really really need you to catch up on all the Kardashian stuff because it's so entertaining.
I have not watched any.
I know, but I want you to really...
I only see what people talk about on Twitter.
I need you to go get caught up on the Dolce and Gabbana thing. Gabbana.
Well, I've seen, again, what people are talking about online. And I saw the actual like clip from the episode of their fight on the phone.
No, I'm saying even before the phone. Before the phone, this Dolce thing has been going on for like a damn season and a half now. It's a whole thing. It's just crazy. Okay. But anyway, well, that's it. So,
what did we even talk about? I blacked out.
Taylor Swift,
terrorism.
Yep.
And
Kim Kardashian,
Tristan Thompson.
A little sandwich.
All the teas.
Basically just celebrities and how y'all don't have to have opinions about everything. And it's okay to be quiet.
But we're allowed to have opinions about everything. And we don't have to be quiet. Some would even ask, why are we yelling so loud?
Exactly. So, anyway, on that note, guys, bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode, and if you did, you should totally hit that like and subscribe button. You can follow us everywhere at WAYYPOD. And remember, don't be ugly, dumb, or stupid. We'll talk at you next time. Bye.